ever noticed how we hold on to life? How we moment though by harder we might not be inevitable on. Yet in that struggle to hold on, we miss the very thing we're trying to preserve. Life slid through our fingers, not because it's fleeting, but because it was never meant to be held. The river does not resist its course, nor does the breeze try to stay in one place. Everything in nature flows, dances, and moves without effort, and so must we. The moment you let go, you become the moment itself. You are no longer the one watching life happen, you are life happen. But of course, the mind doesn't like it. The mind says, if I don't hold on, I'll lose control, I'll fall apart. Yet the irony is that in trying to control life, we become controlled by the very fear that drives us. We become rigid, tense, and small, like a clenched fist trying to grasp the ocean. Letting go doesn't mean giving up or becoming passive. It means trusting the rhythm of existence. It's realizing that the dance of life doesn't need a dancer. The music plays itself, and we are simply the movement of it. Imagine standing on the edge of a cliff, wind brushing against your face. You lean forward, afraid to fall, yet part of you wants to trust that invisible hand that carries the bird, the cloud, the air itself. Letting go is that trust, a surrender not to something outside of you, but to something deeply within. When you let go, you stop being the observer trying to catch life in words, and you start being the silence in which life sings. Our great mistake is thinking that life is something happening to us. We think we are separate, a little ego wrapped in skin, moving through a universe of things. But look closer. There's no you apart from this. Just as a wave cannot exist without the ocean, you cannot exist without everything else. You are not living life. You are life, temporarily expressing itself as you. The clouds move, the trees grow, the tides shift, and you breathe, all are part of one continuous motion. So when you let go, you're not losing control. You're returning to the natural order of things, the order that was there long before you tried to manage it. The problem is, we're conditioned to believe that we must always be doing something, always planning, always striving, always pushing forward. Yet, have you ever noticed that the most beautiful moments in life happen when you're not trying at all? When you're watching the sunset, laughing uncontrollably with a friend, or simply listening to the rain, in those moments you disappear. The thinker fades away and only life remains. That is what it means to become the moment. It's not an achievement or a goal. It's the effortless return to what has always been true. Letting go feels frightening because it means releasing the illusion of control. It's the realization that the ground beneath your feet was never as solid as you thought. But there's a profound peace in that discovery, because once you stop demanding that life go your way, you begin to see the intelligence that guides everything, an intelligence far greater than the anxious chatter of the mind. You realize that even your struggles, your confusions, your so-called mistakes are part of the great unfolding. And in that realization, something loosens, the grip softens, the heart opens. Have you ever tried to hold your breath for too long? You can't. The body demands release. The same is true for the spirit. You can't cling to life without suffocating. The universe, after all, is made of constant change. Day turns to night, youth turns to age, birth turns to death, and in that eternal rhythm, nothing is truly lost. Letting go is simply learning to breathe with the universe instead of against it. So when you let go, when you truly surrender, you don't fall into chaos. You fall into harmony. The moment you stop trying to control the flow of the river, you feel yourself being carried by it. You feel the gentle guidance of something you cannot name, and yet it feels more like home than anything you've ever known. And it's in that moment, that single infinite moment, that you realize you were never separate from it at all. The moment you let go, you become the moment. You become the wind that blows through the trees, the laughter that echoes in the night, the heartbeat of the world itself. You are no longer watching life, you are life.
Most people live as though life were a problem to be solved. They approach each day like a puzzle, as if there's some secret pattern to be unlocked, some final state of action waiting at the end. But life is not a riddle, it's a song to be sung. You don't dance to reach a spot on the floor, nor do you listen to a simply to hear the last note. You dance because dancing is the point. You listen because the music is the meaning. And in the same way, life itself has no goal beyond this moment. The tragedy is that we spend our lives chasing moments while the present one quietly passes us by. When you let go, truly let go, you begin to hear the music, the rhythm of being that has been playing all along beneath the noise of your own thoughts. Think about how we cling to our identity, names, careers, beliefs, and memories. We say, I am this, or I am that. Who is this I you attend? Every label you hold is only a story, and every story changes with time. The child you were is gone. The person you are today will vanish, and yet something timeless remains. Letting go means loosening your grip on these stories, realizing that you are not the costume you wear, but the actor behind. Or perhaps even more, you are the play. So you are not merely in the universe, you are the universe, temporarily pretending to be human. It's like holding water in your hand. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it escapes through your fingers. But if you keep your hand open, the water rests there. Now, this is how life works. Love, peace, and joy cannot be forced or grasped. They arise when you stop demanding they stay. It's only when you stop clutching at life that life finally stays with you. Not as a possession, but as an experience. We misunderstand surrender as weakness, but it is not weakness to flow with current. It takes great courage to stop fighting the tide. The warrior who lays down his sword doesn't lose the battle. He transcends it. To let go is not to be defeated, but to be free from the need to win. Imagine a leaf floating downstream. It does not resist flow, yet it travels farther than any other swimmer. The universe carries it because it trusts the river. Can you trust in that same way? Can you let yourself carry? When we finally do, a quiet miracle unfolds. Constant tension fills the body, begins to melt away. The mind, always grasping for the next thing, begins to rest. You start to sense that life has always been moving perfectly, even through the chaos. Pain you ran, the joy you pursued, all of it part of the same movement. You were never separate from the love. You were simply unaware of your place within. To let go is to awaken to see that every breath, every heart, every thought is already synchronized with existence. And yet this realization, and the more I let go, the more you hold on. Like trying, or like demanding, you can't will surrender in being. You can only stop resisting what is. When you truly see there is no hold, the grip really at end, and you begin to perhaps the great joke. The more we try to free, the more we bind up. Freedom isn't something to be achieved, something to be noticed. What's left when you stop trying to escape? You are already free, already home. You just haven't stopped struggling long enough to see it. The moment you stop chasing peace is the moment here. When you let go, life becomes lighter. Even suffering changes tone. It's not pain disappears, but it no longer defines you. It moves through you like wind through the tree, felt but not clung to. You begin to see beauty even in the falling leaf, in the fading light, in the inevitable loss that once terrified. Because now you understand, loss is not the end of something. It is a continuation. Change is the heartbeat of life. When you look closely, you realize that letting go is not something you do. It is something that happens when you stop doing. It's the moment the mind grows quiet enough to allow light to breathe through it again. Like a still pond reflecting the moon, you don't have to force clarity. You simply stop stirring the water. In that stillness, the truth becomes visible, that there was never anything to control in the first place. The river flows whether you struggle or not. The heart beats, the lungs expand, the stars move across the sky, all without your command. And so, the great freedom begins when you recognize that life is already living itself through you. Consider a time when you laughed uncontrollably, not because you decided to, but because it simply happened. For a moment, you weren't you trying to manage life. You were just laughter. Or when you were so deeply immersed in a sunset or a song that the watcher disappeared. You weren't standing apart observing beauty. You were the seeing, the hearing, feeling. That is what I mean by becoming the moment. It is not some mystical state reserved for monks or sages. It is the most natural thing in the world. The rediscovery of what you already are when the illusion of control fades away. You see, life is like a piece of music. If the meaning of music were in the final note, composers would only write ending. The meaning lies in the flow, in the rise and fall, the tension and relief. We live as though we're racing towards some grand finale. Success, enlightenment, heaven, peace. But the music of life is playing now, and we're too busy waiting the last note to hear it. Letting go is learning to listen again, to be fully here in the dance of this moment without trying to make it different. There's a peculiar beauty in realizing that you were never in charge of the show. The clouds don't consult you before they move, nor do the seasons ask for your approval. And yet everything unfolds perfect. The trees don't strain to grow, flowers don't fight to bloom. They simply are. Humanity, in its attempt to control, has forgotten this ancient wisdom, that existence itself is spontaneous. It doesn't need a manager. When you stop trying to be the conductor of life's orchestra, you begin to hear the symphony that was already playing. But the ego fears this realization. It whispers, if I let go, who will I be? The answer, of course, is everything. The ego wants to define you as a shape, a role, a boundary. But letting go means dissolving those walls. It's the moment the drop of water returns to the ocean and remembers it was never separate. Yes, it may seem terrifying to lose your sense of self, but what you gain is immeasurable. The vastness of being itself. You no longer say, I am living my life. You say, life is living me. And in that shift, every breath becomes sacred. Now, this doesn't mean that you stop participating in the world. On the contrary, you participate more fully, because when you are no longer trapped in the constant effort to control, you begin to act with the effortless grace of the universe itself. Decisions become lighter. You respond rather than react. Love flows without demand. You begin to see that life was never asking you to control it, only to join it, to dance with it, to trust its rhythm. So what does it mean to live in this way? It means that when life changes, when people leave, when plans fail, when certainty dissolves, you don't collapse in resistance. You breathe, you allow, you let life move through you as it always has. You begin to see that endings are not tragedy, transformation. Like autumn leaves drifting to the ground, everything has its time to fall, and in that falling, something new begins to grow. To let go is not to turn away from life, but to turn toward it, to embrace it in all its unpredictability. Because the truth is, you never had control, only the illusion of it. And once that illusion fades, a great laughter arises. You realize that the play of existence has been happening without your intent from the very beginning. You were never the master, you were the dance self. And once you glimpse this truth, that you were never set from below, something extraordinary happens. The world begins to soften. The hard edges of me and them, set, failure, gain, and loss start to blur. You realize every high and every low part a melody. The laughter and the tears are not companions in the same story. You stop trying to escape the dark and instead see how it gives meaning to life. The rain, after all, is not the enemy of the sun. It is its partner in creating life. So it is with joy and sorrow. When you let go of your resistance to one, you make space to experience the fullness of both. We spend so much of our lives avoiding discomfort, shielding ourselves from uncertainty, guarding our hearts from pain. But in doing so, we also numb ourselves to one. To live safely is to live half alive. The paradox is that only when you allow yourself to be broken open do you discover what cannot be broken. Letting go is an act of radical openness, a willingness to feel, to be vulnerable, to say yes to the unpredictable beauty of existence. It's like standing in the middle of a storm and realizing the wind and rain are not attacking you. They are dancing with you. When you become the moment, you are no longer the spectator watching life unfold. You are the unfolding itself. The sunrise doesn't happen to you, it happens as you. The laughter of a child, the hum of the city, the silence of midnight, all of it is you, reflected in infinite forms. To see this is to awaken from the illusion of separation. It's like waking from a dream where you thought you were just one character, only to realize you were the dreamer the entire time. Yet this awakening doesn't make you serious or detached. On the contrary, it makes you human, because when you stop resisting life, compassion arises naturally. You begin to see yourself in everyone, in their struggle, their fears, their hope. You understand the same force breathing through you is breathing through them. Letting go is therefore an act of love. It is the recognition that we are all waves on the same ocean, dancing for a moment or returning to sea. The fear of letting go often hides in our relationship. We cling to the past, afraid to lose our story, and we chase the future, hoping to find salvation. But have you ever actually been in the past? You have only ever been here. The past is memory, imagination, and both arise now. When you let go of your need to live somewhere else, in what was or what might be, you finally arrive in the only place that ever exists, the present moment. And the moment you truly arrive, you discover that time itself is dissolved. There is only now, eternally alive. You see, the ego thrives on time. It says, and someday I will arrive. Someday I will be free. Freedom doesn't wait. Freedom is the recognition there was never any way. You were never trapped by the idea you were. The moment you let go of life begins. The moment you stop chasing meaning, everything becomes meaning. It's a strange thing, isn't it? We've been trained to believe fulfillment comes from strive, from achieving, improving, becoming. But life's wisdom whispers something soft. Stop becoming. You already are. When you let go of the idea you must reach something, you notice you've been standing in the destination all along. You are the thing you've been seeing. You are the love, the awareness that you've been chasing through every plan and prayer. So let yourself breathe. Let the tides move. Let people come and go as they must. Trust that what leaves makes space for what's next, and what stays is exactly what needs to. Letting go doesn't mean losing. It means allowing life to unfold in its own mysterious perfection. And in that allowing, find a stillness never far away. The stillness of being, the stillness of now. And so we come to the quiet by understanding that all along we were never holding life. Life was holding us. Every breath, every heartbeat, every tear shed, and every smile shared has been the universe expressing itself through the mask of you. When you let go, you don't fall into emptiness. You fall into fullness. You become vast, expansive, boundless. The edges of who you thought you were dissolve into the great ocean of being. You no longer see yourself as a separate creature navigating existence. You see that existence has always been navigating itself through you. The wave does not control the sea, but it dances as part of it, rising, cresting, and dissolving back into the whole. And what a beautiful dance it is. Letting go is not about abandoning your dreams or renouncing the world. It's about seeing through the illusion that you were ever separate. When you work, love, create, or simply sit in silence, all of it is life expressing. You realize that the doer and the deed were never two. The painter and the painting, the singer and the song, they are one movement. And when you see that, everything you do becomes effort, because there's no longer a you trying to make it happen. Action flows like water, spontaneous, graceful, complete. You see, the struggle to control life is like trying to push a river upstream. You exhaust yourself, you grow frustrated, and yet the river continues in its direction, unbothered. The current doesn't punish you, resist, simply wait. And the moment you stop fighting, carries you. The same current that once felt overwhelming becomes the very force that guides you home. Letting go then is simply remembering that you were never separate from the current. You were always being carried. When you live in this awareness, gratitude arises now. You start to see the perfection in imperfection, the beauty in uncertainty. You stop demanding that life makes sense and begin to marvel at its mystery. The rain no longer ruins your day. It becomes a symphony. The silence between words, pauses between breath, they become sacred. You stop asking what's next and start whispering thank you, because in that moment of surrender, every experience, joy, sorrow, birth, death, reveals itself as a facet, same in a jewel. And then something even deeper unfolds. You begin to sense that there was never anyone to let go in the first place. The you who was holding on was itself thought, a fleeting ripple on the surface of consciousness. The one trying to surrender disappears, and what remains is just awareness, still vast, timeless. The ocean does not need to let go of the wave. It simply realizes it is the wave. When you awaken to that truth, the question of control, fear, or surrender dissolves completely. There is only life, breathing, beating, being. To live like this is to live lightly. You move through the world without clinging, yet with deep love. You care, but you do not grasp. You give, but you do not demand. You act, but you do not own the result. You begin to see that freedom is not the absence of attachment, the freedom within it, the ability to love fully, knowing that all things change. This is not despair, it is the highest joy, because you have discovered that nothing real can ever be lost. And so, my friend, the invitation is simple. Stop trying to hold the moment. Let it hold you. Trust the unfolding of your life as you trust the rising of the sun and the coming of time. You are not a stranger in this universe. You are its heart, breath, song. The moment you let go, you become the moment, inseparable from the wind, the stars, and the quiet pulse of eternity. So breathe deeply, smile, gently. Play goes on, the music continues, and you are the music itself.